All right, we are live. Welcome everyone to Hit or Miss. I am your host, Night Strike, and tonight we have a ton of topics to talk about. I've got a lively panel this evening, so without further ado, let me introduce my panel this evening, and we'll get right into the topics because we got a whole ton of them tonight. So first up, we got AWAG 1000. What's going on, AWAG?
Hiya, coming to you from a desktop PC this time, so I can actually do things now.
Okay, awesome.
Thanks for the invite.
You're welcome. And last minute entry, we have Gizzard Gary. What's going on, Gizzard?
Hey, not a whole lot. Thanks for the invite, sir.
Hey, no problem. Anytime. And then our favorite liberal from England, Rick. What's going on, Rick?
Hey, thanks for the invite.
Anytime.
How can you call me liberal?
Because you said I am a little liberal on your last show. That's why.
Oh.
So I'm giving it to you. Anyways, next up we got Rocall 219. What's going on, Ro?
What's going on, man? Thanks for having me on.
Hey, no problem. And last but certainly not least, we've got Squib. What's going on, Squib?
I'm representing for Michigan.
All right.
Oh, I was just in Michigan.
Yeah, I missed you. What, you were in Pinckney?
Yep, I was in Pinckney. I was at
for like a day?
Yeah, no, I was there for the whole weekend. I was at a paintball place called Hell Survivors.
Really? Paintball?
Yep. Yeah. Hey, it's my job.
Your job is okay.
I work for a paintball manufacturing company. So.
Oh, okay, all right. I was trying to figure out. All right.
Either way, if he got a job doing something he likes to do, Squib, I wouldn't knock it. I mean,
no, I just couldn't figure. I mean, I went to a paintball place in Indiana that is on an old Army missile base, and that's pretty cool. They turned it into okay, the Nike base.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. I know.
Yep. Yeah. So I was thinking you run a paintball place, but you had to come to Michigan.
No, we helped sponsor an event there. It was called Living Legends. It was pretty freaking awesome.
Oh.
Lots of interesting characters. There was actually one of these players out there that dressed up like a penis. So some really interesting.
Asking for a link.
Are you sure we can do this? We can say that on air, AWAG?
I don't know.
Are you sure we want to say that on air?
Who is asking for a link?
Travis.
It sounded like the show just kind of went into foul territory.
Okay, let's jump out of this foul territory then.
I sent one.
All right.
Travis, check your emails. You got one. So, anyways, all right. Scotsman jumped in last minute. What's going on, Scotsman?
Not much, man. Sorry, I just got home. Work meetings and bullshit, but glad to be here. Appreciate the link. Thank you.
Mm-hmm. And Scotsman, what do we say?
Tuesday night strike, hit or miss, baby.
No. What else do we say?
Fuck you.
Shall not be infringed.
No. Fuck the royal family.
That's right. Fuck the royal family.
Come on.
Oh, that's old news.
All right, so we got a couple topics to talk about tonight. What I'm gonna jump right into it. The first off, I mentioned this on the Friday Night Strike. Over the weekend. But there's a World War II veteran living in Michigan. He's turning 100 years old. He said for his birthday, all he wants is 100 birthday cards. So. Since all you guys show up for the live stuff, I'm letting those that weren't here on Friday know that he's, that he wants 100 birthday cards. I'm sending one. Scotsman already did a video about it, over the weekend, and we mentioned it on his show. But I'm going to mention it one last time for those that don't know about it. But I saw this on Fox News. I thought it was an actual interesting article, considering they were actually talking about something that's news related instead of, let's bash on Trump. So,
what city in Michigan is he in?
They just gave a P.O. box.
Oh,
so
well, yeah, but the P.O. box has to go to a city.
Here, let me.
Yeah, can we get that address out there?
Yeah, I'm gonna get the link. I'm gonna link it and whatnot. Hold on. See if it's working. No, it's not working. Damn it.
Well, in the meantime, I'll explain something. Hey, Night Strike, I listened to your Friday Night Strike. Actually, at the beginning of my shift at work today, I recorded and was trying to catch up.
I'm sorry.
Well, I wanted to explain something to you. You said you were pissed off that they only sent 2 servicemen to your grandfather's funeral.
Squib, that's one thing we don't talk about. We're not going to talk.
Why not? I think I should explain it to you. That's pretty standard.
I don't want it explained to me.
Okay, well, I'm just letting you know and everybody else know that 2 to 3 people is fairly standard. And not everybody gets a 21-gun salute. Some people actually request that they don't do it because some people don't want the noise. But when you have a funeral, a military funeral, they'll send usually 2 to 3 people, and on occasion there'll be more. It just depends on the arrangements that are made and who's available at the time. Those people in uniform who show up there, they leave there and they go to another funeral that day. They may hit 2, 3, 4 funerals in a day, depending on how far they have to drive. And then the next day, they go do some more. And they've got people, they rotate out to do that sort of thing. So,
yeah. So, all right. So that's what's going on with that. People have sent out the address right there. Mr. Ike Fabella, he's turning 100. So, if you guys can, if you weren't here on Friday, go ahead and send him a birthday card.
Hey,
I've already sent one out. I know Scotsman's already done his.
Hey, you want to know something, Night Strike?
What?
If he lived in England, the Queen would have sent him a telegram for 100 years.
You know what? I don't care what the Queen does because I live in America. Because this is America.
America.
I was gonna say the Queen can stick that telegram up her ass. It don't mean shit.
Yeah, it's like, who the fuck uses telegrams these days?
Mic drop.
Boom, baby.
big English, apparently.
I was like, I didn't think for a second. I was like, can you even send one? I don't know.
You know, the last company I know in the United States that used to do telegrams was Western Union. That's the last company I know that did telegrams.
Believe it or not, they still do them. But anyway, no. Fuck
Wow.
her. She can stick it up her ass.
Exactly. So, anyways, moving on to other topics. So, since we got that out of the way, all right.
Just real quick, Fine Ape. No, I did not kill any more CPUs.
Yeah, Fine Ape, you have a link. I sent you a link if you want to jump in on Hit or Miss tonight. So check your email, dude. All right. So, first order of business. I know some of us in here aren't fans of bump fire stocks. Some of us are. Some of us could go either way. Now, that's a good indication of the people that are in this room at the moment. So, but on Sunday, Slide Fire system. What is it? Slide Fire. The Slide Fire company stopped selling and manufacturing bump fire stocks. They're done. All right. I'm gonna read the article here for us. Embattled Texas-based Slide Fire Solutions ceased functionality on their website Sunday night, and announced they will no longer accept orders moving forward. The company, the primary manufacturer of bump stock devices in the country, advised that orders placed prior to midnight on May 20th will be processed and shipped, but did not address any warranty concerns other than to direct those who needed customer service to an email address. In a statement, they said, "We thank you for your support." The company said in a statement, Slyfire social media page, it's remained up. It's still online, but it has not been updated since May 3rd. The company who holds itself as the sole patent holder of bumpfire technology, with numerous patents registered, is named as a defendant in a litany of lawsuits over the use of bumpfire stocks at Route 91 Harvest shooting last October in Las Vegas, which we don't even know if he really did use it or not. That left people dead. I'm not going to even go into the numbers or anything. This came in conjunction with a flood of efforts, both legislative and regulatory, to ban bump stocks and a host of other devices at the federal, local, and state level. It just goes on and on and on about it. But pretty much at the end it says Slyfire's founder and CEO Jeremiah Cottle holds nearly a dozen firearm-related patents and hasn't elaborated on his plans for the future. "I built something, and a madman is taking it all away," Cottle, an Air Force veteran, told Bloomberg Business Week in the aftermath of the Las Vegas shooting that brought negative attention to the niche accessory and the company he founded in 2000. So he's been doing this for like 18 years. They estimate nearly 280,000 to 520,000 bumpfire stocks are in circulation, according to federal regulators. So,
well, speaking of bumpfire stocks, New Jersey actually had a bumpfire stock turn-in, and guess what percentage complied?
No one.
0% complied.
Will not comply. I will not comply. I urge others to not comply.
I will comply, and I'll give you my reason. Because I don't care, but for order for me to comply, if they would ever do that in my state, I would need $1.2 million, and then I'll comply. Other than that,
no one's.
Did you say that with a pinky?
He probably did, knowing him.
$2 million.
Yes.
He
Million.
probably
No,
did, knowing him.
See, if you're gonna do it right, you gotta
Million.
say it with the pinky. You gotta say $1 billion with the whole pinky. Yes.
Careful,
Anyway.
watch out. Rokal's sticking things in his mouth.
Well, it wouldn't be the first time. All right.
and it
Anyway,
won't be the last.
I really needed that in my head.
Okay, I'm gonna show off what I got today.
Oh, hold on. We're not done yet.
Oh,
Show and tell is not. It's not right now. We're not doing show and tell yet. All right. So, we got a bad article we got to talk about tonight. Apparently, an Indiana felon shot his landlord hours after a successful lie and try gun buy. Yeah. A convicted felon shot his landlord just hours after buying 2 pistols from a licensed gun dealer in Muncie, Indiana. Though investigators don't understand how the man passed the background check in the first place.
background checks don't work.
That's what I'm saying. If
Mhm.
he lies on the form, they think he's someone else, so the background check doesn't work. But again, that's why we're talking about this, because somebody got through the cracks as a felon. All right, I'm not going to say his name, but he submitted. The scumbag submitted an ATF form 4473 to a clerk in Muncie, rural King Supply Inc. for the purchase of 2 9mm handguns back in September. The application riddled with lies, obscuring Abraham's multiple felony convictions and mental instability. Came back.
You just said his name.
No. Did I?
Yeah, you did.
Yeah, you did.
Well, fuck it.
Let's not say it
Can we
again.
fucking
Then.
move on.
I was just reading the article. Shut up.
God damn it.
Don't interrupt.
Fuck the royal family.
Exactly. Now shut up.
God save the Queen.
Fuck that.
Stick it up
All
your
right.
ass.
More like God,
Anyways,
take the queen.
the
Take the
FBI
queen.
approved the form within minutes. 6 hours later, he shot his landlord in the chest after the landlord asked for the rent payment.
Well, he got paid.
Yeah. In full.
You got something. I'm not sure. paid
Full
for
Metal
it.
Jacket.
But,
Oh man.
Yeah, that's horrible.
Man, this guy's fucking lame.
Wah, wah, wah.
wah, wah. But again, the article just goes on to say that he was able to get through the cracks. And this is just one of many indications and many instances where if a felon decides he can just go and lie on a background check form, he can get it approved within minutes. So it plays into the part that background checks don't work.
I'm going to play devil's advocate because I deal with this on a daily basis. You guys don't. I do. And I can tell you, yes, they work. Now, there's a lot of times that things slip through the cracks. How this slipped through the cracks is a very good fucking question because he has a felony. It doesn't matter if he lies on the questions. It doesn't matter. What matters is when they run the information of who that person is. So if he put a social security number on there, that should have flagged it in 30 seconds. Should have.
Should have, but he might not have because it's not required.
Well, let me finish. So even if he didn't, it still should have flagged with his name unless he lied about what his name was and had a false ID. This we don't know. Correct?
Probably. He might have done that too. So, again.
Again, this is why I'm playing devil's advocate because, again, to this point, if he had a fake ID and put a fake name on that form, he's going to pass.
Sarge, you know a little bit about law enforcement. What do you have to say? Just go ahead and just lay it out there for us.
Well, like Scotsman said, did he have a fake ID to go with the information he put on the form? And
could have.
FFL, like Scotsman is, but don't you check the ID when you fill out the form?
So I will tell you this right now, that there's very few people out there that know how to spot a fake ID or a manufactured ID. I can check one. I've learned things over the years and can tell when something doesn't look right, and I will question it, and I will question that person. But not everyone out there can do that.
Yeah.
Hey, let me ask you a question, Scotsman. Do you require two forms of identification, whether it's your driver's license and concealed carry permit or whatever it might be, two forms of ID or no?
So in the state of Ohio, it only requires one. There are stores that will take the concealed handgun license and use that and bypass the background check in the state of Ohio. My store is not one of them.
I got you. Yeah, here in Arkansas, if you have a concealed carry, you give your license and your concealed carry, and that foregoes the background check. So that's what we do here.
And that's just something that the owner wanted with all these different shootings going on. He didn't want to continue doing that, so we're bypassing that. We run the checks. If we don't get an answer back, you don't get your gun, period.
I've got a question about this also. How many times does this happen? It doesn't happen very often at all that someone goes through the trouble of buying a gun at a gun shop to immediately go out and commit a murder. But it doesn't happen at all. This is rare.
Correct.
This guy didn't slip through.
It's extremely rare. It's extremely rare, and more to the point, it's extremely rare that these things happen where they actually get past all this shit.
This guy's already convicted felon.
I get that.
But
again,
it's just that it doesn't matter how great the background checks are; they don't always work, and this is a good indication of why.
You can beat any system.
We don't know. He may have had a fake ID. He may have put false information on the form.
Yeah, you can beat any system.
The majority of FFLs out there don't know how to spot a fake ID. I'm going to tell you right now. They don't. They fucking plain don't. I have been fortunate to have been taught over the years by ex-police force, ex-FBI, ex-military on how to spot this stuff. So when someone comes in, I check their ID. And if something doesn't look right, I call them up.
Good.
And 9 times out of 10, yeah, take your ums and get the fuck out of my store. But to Sarge's point, it's something that's very rare. It doesn't happen very often.
Yeah, and if this person was motivated enough to either lie and the gun shop didn't catch it, or to produce a fake ID to be this other person, and if it was good enough that they couldn't figure it out, then they did beat the system. I don't think that if the information was entered correctly, that the background check would fail. If they entered another person's name and we don't know that that's the person receiving the gun, well, then that person frauded the gun shop and pretended to be someone else. That's how they got around it. And I'm not really sure in the circumstances just yet. So I don't know exactly what happened.
Can I ask a question?
Go for it.
So since this FFL dealership, who does the blame fall on if there is repercussion?
All right. So it's a very good question. Yeah. They cannot be sued by the state. They can be sued in a civil suit, however.
The FFL.
Correct. If the family of that particular person wanted to, they can go ahead and file a civil suit.
Is there any penalty for the FFL? I'm not saying getting their license stripped, but I mean, is there a penalty for the FFL if they find out that they sold a gun to someone with a fake ID?
All right. So what's going to happen is that FFL is probably going to close up for a week, 2 weeks, roughly somewhere in there, while the FBI conducts an investigation. They will go in, they will check all the forms, they'll do a complete full audit, and they will question everybody in that store. At that point, they'll gather all their information, and if they find that there was something not done correctly, there'll either be a huge ass fine or they'll lose their license, one of the two. But again, they're still open to a civil suit from the family of the person who was killed.
Right. So what the FBI is basically looking at is a trend. Is this happening frequently, or is this a one-time thing that it slipped through the cracks or something like that? That's basically what they're looking for, is trends.
Yeah,
so
they're going to be looking for trends.
The FBI be the ATF.
They're going to be looking for trends on their forms of, did they enter all this information correctly? Did they do the necessary steps? They'll probably send in someone undercover as an IOI to see how their steps are done. And if they're following proper protocol. So a lot of times what will happen is they'll send someone in and they'll go in and say they're looking to buy a gun. They'll ask the necessary questions and stuff in order to make sure that that person believes that they are buying that gun in the right aspect of mind. And if they see anything throughout that entire conversation where they're being coerced, they're being guided through the entire process, anything like that, they'll call it out right then and there. And they'll take their badge, they'll flip it out and say, all right, shut her down.
All right. All right, before we move on, final statements, final comments.
Don't be an asshole. Don't be a jackass. Make sure the gun's for you.
Always put the right, truthful information on that damn form.
Don't lie for the other guy.
Exactly. All right, so moving on. Travis.
Yo.
Do you want to talk about this one?
What do we got today? I didn't see what the topics were.
Nebraska professor fined for vandalizing NRA leader's home.
Yeah, I just saw that pop up on Facebook, man. I did go to a Nebraska university, and I don't ever remember any kind of a liberal agenda pushed on me in any of my classes. But I didn't even know there was an NRA lobbyist in Nebraska because they don't really ever seem to help us. I mean, I don't know where they are. If they're there, they must be hiding or something. I don't ever hear about them on the Capitol. But I mean, our state gun organization does more. But anyway, back to the story. You know what? Now he's what is this?
University of Nebraska Lincoln.
Mm-hmm. Well, that's the same town
right
that
just
unanimously. No, that's 175 miles away. Unfortunately, that's our capital, and where almost the bulk of the population lives. Between that and Omaha, that. And again, that's the same town that just unanimously voted on a bump stock ban 2 months ago, without any kind of provisions on really how to dispose of them, or what to do if you have one and you're not a Lincoln resident, or what's going to happen if you have one. I mean, it's ridiculous. So. Yeah, I don't know what to say. I'm absolutely shocked. I mean, I'm not. We know that we see this about professors all the time. We've seen footage of the professors spewing out what they do to these people and these kids. But for somebody to actually take action and vandalize the house, that really is disturbing.
Here's the interesting part. The person who did this apparently is female, and obviously she's liberal, but she got fined for $500 for going and vandalizing Chris Cox's home in Virginia.
Oh, it wasn't in Nebraska then. I haven't even read the article.
Oh, well, no, she should get a medal or an award for that, because who likes Chris Cox?
Again, not so much because she's against guns.
Well, yeah, but everybody's always complaining that nobody likes Chris Cox or Bruce Wayne LaPierre. So, I mean,
Bruce Wayne
whatever.
LaPierre. I don't know if he's a Bruce Wayne. He's more of
He looks like Adam West. That's why I call him Bruce Wayne LaPierre. Look, anyhow, I'm not saying that what she did was right. That's immature. It's a bad example, and it's criminal. But it's just kind of like, well, it couldn't happen to a better guy.
Yeah,
well, it scares me. Is she planned to do this, or is she just in the neighborhood? And she thought, I'm gonna go get some fake blood and spray his house with it.
She sprayed his house, the outside of his house, with fake blood.
I think a person that travels 1,500 miles to do something like that definitely needs to speak with a mental health professional, because that's not something that. What if he would have been walking out? What would she have done?
That's crazy.
Would she have killed him? Do we know? I mean, seriously, we don't know what she would have done. She's going to take steps crazy enough to go. There's something not clicking right up there.
Not that we support Chris Cox. It's more funny that this has happened to him than anything. But again, but again, I just wanted to bring it up because apparently she's from, she's one of the bright stars from Travis' state.
Yeah, and this is somebody that they want educating our children. And what's sad about this, and I'm reading the article in the Lincoln Journal-Star, it sounds like the university's not going to level any additional penalties against her because they don't prosecute their faculty with additional penalties in addition to what the state or federal law is already going to assess to them. They're not going to hold them.
I bet you $50 that if a conservative teacher were to do that to a liberal teacher's house, the school would push everything they could on that guy.
Yeah, yeah.
So Travis,
what
would happen if somebody did this in your district?
That wouldn't happen. I don't think that would happen. I could have an NRA person next door, and I think people would be looking for autographs. I just don't think that's going to happen. I'm a very rural, conservative area that's gun-friendly with a ton of hunters and a bunch of shooters and competitive shooters and the whole community. I mean, we joke and say that camouflage is our other school colors. We actually have a little joke going school-wide because of the sheer amount of mossy oak you see in the hallways. But I don't think that would happen. I mean, if I did something like that, it would probably, I don't know, I'd probably be suspended for an investigation I'd probably get a vandalism charge against me, and then the school board would want to know why I'm setting such a piss-poor example for kids. So yeah, but they would probably want to get rid of me for the right reasons, that I'd be mentally unstable to do something like that to another person. So
But the president's column in the front of the Rifleman and all the other magazines every month, Chris Cox does an article, and I just glance at it and move on to the next page. I might actually be looking to see if he writes something interesting next month.
Yeah, he was like, he might.
Don't send your kids to UNL.
Right?
Yeah.
But I just figured we touch the topic because I thought it was amusing.
Yeah, we always get the weird extreme stuff that happens here, like that passing of the bump stock out of nowhere, and this sad excuse for an educator.
All right, so I'm going to screen share this next topic because I think it's hilarious. Apparently, more than a couple gun shops have decided that they're going to go and openly say that they're still selling ARs because we're not all dicks. We still sell ARs. So,
yeah, I haven't seen that on a lot of other firearm stores are popping that up there too. Yeah,
it's not just one gun shop that's doing it. It's a lot of gun shops. Like, check this one out.
Yeah,
we sell AR-15s because we're not dicks.
No, see, the only problem with that one right there is they use their actual symbols, so they can technically be sued.
Technically, but again, I mean, they can just erase that.
It's fucking hilarious, but yes, they can be sued.
They can modify it, and therefore that would be parody.
I mean, they could change the font just enough that they're not using the exact same font, and then they can say it's a parody. Yeah, if they're not using the exact same font, the colors look the same, the letters look the same, but if they have one little extra angle on every letter, remember, there's a fine line between clever and stupidity.
Oh, apparently this is a South Carolina pawn shop.
You should go there. You should go there. Road trip, man. Go
no, Horry County's on the opposite side.
Everything's on the opposite side.
Go buy an AR because you're not a dick.
No, I build my ARs because Palmetto State represent.
Hey, and on a happy note, Dick's sports stocks are dropping tremendously over the last 30 days. So, yeah, there you go.
But again, I just wanted to mention this because I saw this article and I thought it was hilarious because I saw this image first. We're not all dicks. We sell ARs. Because they didn't even put the apostrophe there. That's why. Anyways, so we're done with that. This is what I want to talk about next because my family does taxes for people. And this kind of pisses me off because if you are in the accounting world, even if you just have your foot in the door in the accounting world, most of the accounting world either uses Intuit or they use QuickBooks. And QuickBooks, everybody uses QuickBooks, but Intuit, they do other software as well. And they're going after gun companies now. They're severing ties with Gunsite Academy. They're reversing tens of thousands in credit card charges because of firearms. And this is a company of which their only job is just to make and sell software so people can do accounting. That's it. But again, they're going after it. There's been another incident of ignorance merging with the desire to undermine our Second Amendment rights, resulting in financial attack on a prominent industry company. This time, it's one that is equivalent of church for gun owners. Wow. Gunsite Academy in Paulden, Arizona. Gunsite, which was founded by the late Colonel Jeff Cooper in 1976 under the name American Pistol Institute, has found itself on the receiving end of an anti-Second Amendment rhetoric last week from none other than Intuit Inc., owner of QuickBooks, small business accounting and management software. So a couple months ago, this Gunsite decided to make a change to new credit card processor, QuickBooks. It seemed to be a wise business choice at the time and may have been, and had Intuit not chosen to go the way they did. About 10 days ago, Gunsite bookkeeper found herself on the receiving end of a phone call from QuickBooks. The company felt there was trouble because they had realized Gunsight sold knives and guns on their website. And QuickBooks said meant sales weren't face-to-face and kids could buy them. That's not how that works, guys. You can't just go and buy a gun online and, just get it shipped straight to your house. But apparently, liberals don't follow that. They don't think that far into it because they don't care.
Well, Curio and Relic is about the only way you can pull it off, but yeah.
Well, even
then,
then,
you're going to be highly registered, and yeah,
it still requires you to have a registration.
So, yeah, of course,
and a license. So that's not a non-issue. Gunsight took the time to patiently and politely educate the rep on how FFLs work and explain the laws and processes of firearm sales. Once the process and regulations were laid out, the rep backpedaled, saying, now they understood the procedure, it was all right after all, and business could continue. But then a week ago, on May 11th, 2018, Gunsight got another phone call from QuickBooks, and this time it didn't go as well. The software company informed Gunsight that they were immediately ceasing all business with them. Why? Because they sell and promote firearms. At first blush, this was frustrating news, but Gunsight figured it could be handled. Then the other shoe dropped. In addition to cutting business ties with Gunsight, QuickBooks and Intuit refused to release money from credit card charges currently in process from sales that had already been made. This amounts to tens of thousands of dollars from not only purchases made in the Gunsight Pro Shop, including hats, shirts, bumper stickers, and coffee mugs, but also money that has been paid for classes taken on gun safety and marksmanship. Yep, you read that right. Tens of thousands of dollars in sales of products and classes paid for in good faith that Intuit has refused to release. Instead, Intuit stated that they would refund that money to the credit card holders. That means revenue for everything from pens to 5-day level 250 pistol courses had just become door prices provided free to the people who had the benefit of training and took home products, all courtesy of Intuit's. It's because of Intuit. Anyways, yeah, it's more depressing news, but they're trying to. Gunsight is trying to work on getting all this situated. You can show support by going over to Gunsight's Academy's website and checking out the Pro Shop and class schedule. So their website is gunsight.com. So if you're in Arizona, I would seriously recommend you go check them out and see if you can do something to help them. So, because they're a local business in Arizona. I've not been to them before, but I have heard of them. I kind of do want to visit them now. But again, my family, when we do taxes, we use Intuit, unfortunately. And because of this, I'm going to have to look for a different software because I'm not going to support Intuit just because a company decides it wants to pander to the left. Instead of staying neutral because it's a company, its sole purpose is just to do business. It's not to get its fingers into politics. A business is just to make money and pay its employees. It's not a business's job to play politics. That's what politicians are for. So I'm kind of pissed off about this.
I would be too.
This is actually software I use that my family uses. Not so much me, but my family. But either way, I'm very unhappy right now.
I'd just like to say I'm not really into it.
Neither am I.
Oh my gosh.
And that was bad. That was bad, roll call. That was really bad. Almost as bad as that time you bought that Springfield XD, that HS 2000 from Croatia.
Come on.
Says the guy with the Filipino 1911.
Yeah.
I bought an Italian gun today.
Okay, AWAG.
Oh yeah, but
Show it. Show it.
something in the world is Italian. So
What'd you get, AWAG? What were you allowed to buy in the state of New Jersey?
Well,
They let you buy something?
they
Yeah,
let
I
me
know.
buy something.
I'm surprised you didn't have to just
Screen
loan it
share,
Loan it.
and boom. Sorry if it's a little grainy.
what the hell is that?
It's a Chiappa little badger with a fake suppressor on it and a red dot because reasons.
It looks like
Chiappa's made in
somebody bent
Mexico.
a crust in half.
Well, it's a survival rifle, and that's the only way I could fit the entire rifle in the shot. So
You could have zoomed out.
Wait a minute. You got another gun and it wasn't some damn commie gun?
no.
Whoa.
Well, technically, never mind. It would be a
Yeah,
socialist.
Chiappas are made in Mexico, buddy.
No, they're made in
A
Italy. It
fascist-
says Italy on the side.
rifle?
Really?
Yep.
Okay, well, maybe they're made by
Chiappa.
Rossi. Are they made by Rossi?
Chiappa's an Italian
Chiappa?
company.
Oh, okay. I thought it was always Mexico.
Remember,
All right.
Yankee has some big hard on for the rhinos.
Yeah.
Yep. So this thing is like going to be the most stupid, fun little gun I have ever bought.
What's it chambered in?
It's 22 long rifle. It's a single shot.
Oh, like a cricket?
Yeah, it's
Type
just like a cricket.
Cool.
Except
So you
that,
need to get the backpack shotgun to go with it. You're good to go.
yeah.
The folding shotgun.
But this is gonna be my little gopher getter.
And if you ever break your leg, all you got to do is just unfold that and you can hobble along.
Oh yeah, it's got a 16-inch barrel, 1 in 16 twist, so it'll stabilize most any 22 long rifle. I'm gonna use CCI quiets in it just to give the fake suppressor effect because I'm a nerd.
But will it support a 22 long rifle AWAG 1000?
I'm not sure how to answer that. But the threads are actually AR-15 threads. Oddly enough, they're half by 24.
Well, there's an upside there.
So I got a faux suppressor from my my local gun shop.
So
How much was it? Was it $200?
All of this together, as you see it, is $200. I got the red dot for like $60. I got the fake suppressor for 20, and then the rest was 120. So
I like it. I like the little shell holder that they got integrated into the stock
Oh,
towards
yeah.
the back.
it's
You can put 12 cartridges in it there, or not 12, 6 or 12. I don't know what they said.
it is 12.
6 on both sides. Okay.
It's sitting right on my lap. Oddly enough, it'll fit in my computer case with the fake suppressor. So
You got the it's got what M1 Garand style sights on the top of it. Garand style sights.
it's got pretty chintzy plastic sights on it.
Oh,
So that's why I put the red dot on it.
So
pretty cool looking, man.
Yeah, I heard they're pretty accurate too. So I'm just gonna have to test that one of these days.
Yeah.
yeah. I've got a problem, guys.
What's that, man?
We've burned through all the topics I had tonight.
Oh,
I've got just the topic. Oh, damn
God,
it!
not commie guns.
Oh man, not again. All right, I'm all out of topics then.
Okay, on a serious note, AWAG, did you ever get that PSL kit?
I didn't. I told you this last time. I went to go check out. It was in my cart. I went to go pay for it. As soon as I went to pay for it, it's like, oh, this item is out of stock.
Boost probably bought it.
yeah, probably snag it from you. Yep.
I wanted to cry. So
Yeah, I've been there. I know exactly how you feel, man. Sucks. You hear me, Foos? It sucks.
hey man, I want my PSL parts kit.
I want my Makarov.
You know, there'll be more Tommy guns. Don't worry. There'll be more.
There'll be more. And I'll be preoccupied with this little single shot for a while.
Yeah, you might. But again, AWAG, you're gonna have to give me your phone number so I can just like text you when they're on when I get the emails from now on.
Okay.
Yeah, that way you're like, oh, I can do this from my cell phone. That way you'll actually be able to get a PSL parts kit.
Yeah.
Because I've been emailing you. It's probably been an hour or two since you checked the email. So
yeah, usually when you send me an email, I'm pretty much right on it. And that last time that you sent me that email, I checked it and I immediately started the checkout process. And that's when it was like, oh, hey, it's out of stock. I was like, oh, geez. Son of a bitch. So.
All right. Well, does anybody else have a topic?
I got a quick one I could go through here. If you guys want me to just bust it out, should I go into screen share real quick? We got time?
Cool. Right. Go for it, bro.
All right. So this is a map. This is from truthaboutguns.com. It shows the nationwide map of which states allow armed school staff as of May of 2018. And unfortunately, I'm in the middle of this sea of freedom all around me, and I'm stuck right here in the middle.
And they need to update that real quick because
look at South Carolina right there. Surrounded by freedom.
Yeah, but look at New Jersey. That's not true at all.
Well, I don't know if they're counting private schools also, or just one school in the state, and the whole thing is considered. There are no schools in New Jersey that you know of that allow it.
Nope, there's none that I know of. You're not allowed to even have a knife on you.
Okay,
so that needs to be updated.
This is what bothers me. The poll here, it says nearly 75% of teachers oppose the idea of being trained to carry guns in schools. So I wonder how they posted that question. Are they saying would you be opposed to training, or would you volunteer for training? Because they're not going to want to take it on if it's something that's just being dumped on them and they're not interested.
No, they're probably asking a very leftist kind of question, like, would you shoot one of your own classmates? And that kind of off-puts everybody.
Here's what's funny from the same survey. 6 in 10 teachers think schools would be less safe if educators arm themselves. They obviously haven't met me yet. Though 7 in 10 think it would, what did I don't understand. Is that a typo? Think it would ineffective in stopping? Are you trying to say think it would be effective in stopping? They got a typo in the article. I'm sorry. I thought it said think they would be effective in stopping.
Yeah, it's not a good idea to do a typo on an article about teachers because it's going to get graded. And
man, this is terrible. I mean, but if it is in fact 7 in 10 think it would be effective, but 6 in 10 are opposed to it, then it's like they like the idea, but not when it's actually put on them, which I think is really sad.
Yeah. Now they got to translate it into Spanish, and we got to grade them on that.
Yeah, we'll fix it. We'll work on it tomorrow. So anyway, I just wanted to bring that up real quick. I thought it was interesting to see all those states that are now allowing it. I would also question that accuracy of that map because it seems a little the numbers seem a little high for me, I guess, versus what you really think it would be. But I thought there was only like 11 or 12 states that actually allow concealed carry from teachers in school. I don't think it was. This is showing like 25 or something, or it's in place in 20. It's allowed in like 12. Then there's us 9 idiots who are all sitting around waiting for disaster to strike. Anyway.
Well, again, in South Carolina, while you're not allowed to bring it into the buildings, you can keep it in your car. So
yeah, it's the same here. Yep.
So if someone goes after you at your car, you're good. But I realize that you can't always be in your car. So
yeah,
that's the only saving grace of that part.
Yep.
So
I don't know, man.
All right.
If you exit the building during an active threat situation, it's not a good idea to return to the building, even if you're the only person who's got a gun in your car in the parking lot legally, the whole 9 yards. It's not a good idea to re-enter the building after you've left.
Yeah, no, if you left the building, get the hell out. If you can get in your car and drive away, go home.
You don't want your coworkers to be hurt or killed, but if something were to happen, they're gonna call you the vigilante, wannabe hero, blah blah blah. I mean, I suppose at the end of the day, it's a judgment call. If you're somewhere that is just so far away from law enforcement that they're not going to respond, or what if they are responding and you're running back into the building with a gun? That it's not going to go. It's not going to go well. I don't recall any of these mass murders happening in a place that was really rural. Like, say, a factory that, it's a one-horse town, but they've got one factory on the edge of town, and that's where everybody works. Haven't heard of one of those happening yet, so I'm not really sure about a place where law enforcement is, say, 45-minute response time or something like that. I mean, in that case, maybe, yeah. But I haven't seen a scenario like that to pass judgment on it.
All right, question. What about if the person is shooting people outside? Would it make more sense than instead of getting your gun out to just run them over with your car?
No, because if they're gonna do it, they're probably gonna do it during a fire alarm when there's kids all over the place. You wouldn't be able to safely maneuver your vehicle around the parking lot without pegging somebody else.
Right.
It depends on the parking lot.
Yeah. I've told my kids. I've told my kids that in a lockdown situation, if it's not a drill, I mean, it's a real thing. There's really gunfire in the hallway. If they're in one of the classrooms that has the fire exit that lets you outside to the exterior of the building, do not huddle in the corner with the teacher. You leave. I don't care what the teacher says. You run out that fire exit, period. But the next thing you need to be worried about is getting run over by an ambulance because now you're in the school parking lot.
Yeah.
So, and not every classroom has one of those doors. And, it's something I've seen in some of the school buildings here in the district. Some of them have them, some of them don't. But they've been told to stay in the room, and I said, no, get out. That is the best way. However, it's not always an option. And I know that in those situations where they've been extracting everybody from the building, they're going through everybody. They're going through all the students. They're making students put their hands on their head and leave your bags in the class, even though you see them come out with their backpacks and purses and stuff like that. It's really weird. Half of them have their hands on their head and the other half don't. And they've got to go through and search everybody and treat everybody as a suspect, because in some of these situations, the guy has tried to blend into the crowd and act like he was just a student there that day. So, unfortunately, it's just like another thing that happens too is in an active threat situation, when SWAT team breaches the building or the first law enforcement that's around get in there. If you're wounded on the ground, they're not going to perform first aid. They are not going to try to apply a tourniquet. They're not going to try to drag you out. They're going to step over you and keep going after the threat. And some people may not like that because they're going to feel like the police just left them behind, and it may even cost them their life. But in the meantime, there's somebody in the back of the building that's still killing people. So unfortunately, just like everybody gets treated like a suspect when they evacuate the building, they have to walk over the wounded. It's an awful thing, but you've got to look at it objectively. You got to look at it from their standpoint. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Well, they got to eliminate the threat, or they're going to have more wounded. They don't really have much of a choice.
And that's just it. But when you're sitting there bleeding, yelling, "I'll sue you if you don't get me out of this building," you're not really thinking about the threat that's still down the hall or upstairs or in the back or wherever it is. You're thinking about yourself and this pool of blood you're laying in. And these people are supposed to be rescuing you, in your opinion. And it's because most people don't know the procedures and the process and all the. Plus, could you live with yourself if you knew that 4 more people died because you were there being? On the other hand, when you're bleeding out, you're scared to death. So you're going to be begging for help for anybody. So it's just an awful situation no matter what. It just is. That's why I think if we could make these targets where they're not soft anymore, you're going to see the numbers of these mass murders decline sharply. You're only going to have the craziest of the crazies try.
I've got a couple responses.
Oh, please, Sarge, jump in by all means.
Yeah, I agree with a lot of that. You'll step over the dead and dying to get to that threat, to stop that threat. And it may be unfortunate for the ones that are that are wounded and thinking that they're being left behind, but that's the way it has to happen. Because if not, if you're there treating that one person and then 2 or 3 or 5 or 6 more people get shot or killed, or they come up and shoot one of us that are trying to rescue them, it's just not the way it works. It's not cost effective. And talking about a law enforcement response, these shootings, the majority are over within 5 minutes. And outside, sometimes they last around 7. I don't have all the numbers in front of me, but that's a good ballpark. There's not many places where law enforcement can get there, get out of their vehicle, and go stop a threat within 5 minutes if it's at a big place like that. So I know what you said about going to the car, getting a gun, coming back. I mean, that's just a judgment call. Like you said, you got to decide how you're going to handle it. What are you going to do? Are you going to let people get shot if you knew that you could get to your car and get your weapon? I don't know. That's up to that person to decide. And like you said about the kids getting out of class, I mean, in a lockdown drill, in theory, a lockdown drill, when they work, it looks like the school's empty. And everything is behind a locked door. And behind that, there's another locked door. And that just gives time for someone else to get there. But on the other hand, if you knew there was gunfire in the hallway right outside your room, and you had a window, you could go out the complete opposite direction to get away from that gunfire. I'm not going to say that's wrong, because that's what most people should do. Don't rely on that locked door if you can get away and create space. So that's just my little 2 cents on all those topics.
Yeah.
Thanks, Sarge.
Oh yeah, no problem.
Anybody else? Please jump in here.
I've told my kids, if this would ever happen, to do the same thing. Don't listen to that teacher at that moment. If you have access to a window, it's first floor window, or possibly a second floor window where you know you might jump out of it and you won't like catastrophically hurt yourself, to do that, to take that option. Don't sit behind a locked door and think you're going to be safe. We've all seen how bullets react to doors, and the doors that they have at schools are basically wood or plywood, or they're just cheap. So I've always told my kids, stick a bunch of heavy books in a backpack and strap them onto you, whether it's the front, if you can get out into the hallway where it's not a threat, and strap a bunch of books into your backpack and strap it on your back and head out, or just jump out the window. Just don't stay stationary if you have the option to create and gain space to get away from the threat. That's what
I would definitely stay out of the hallway.
I don't know if going in a hallway would ever be a good idea, but if you can get out a window or an emergency exit, then you're leaving the building. You're leaving the scene, period. If you go into the hallway, you could be going right into fire.
Yeah. And where is someone more effective when they go to the range? Are they more effective with the pistol at the 3-yard line or at the 25? And then how effective are they at 50 yards? Not very. And if that threat was trying to bust in the door to your classroom and you saw freedom or safety right behind you via an open window, I mean, do you want to rely on that door, or do you want to go the opposite way and get out? I think I would go the other way, or that's what I tell my kids if they have the opportunity. Never out in the hallway, never. So that's it for me.
It's fine.
Right.
Rick, you want to weigh in?
No, not really.
Okay. Gary, you got anything to add?
No, sir, I don't.
Man, you guys. Scotsman, do you have anything to add?
Nah, I'm good.
Guys, come on. Help me out here.
I have a small little topic. Have you guys seen where I think it was some kind of governor or some politician was telling people to keep their kids home from school until gun laws were revised. Have you seen that?
Oh yeah, I saw that.
So basically, this governor type of crook was telling people to keep their kids home from schooling until comprehensive gun control bills were passed.
But that would be a violation of state and federal laws, right?
Yeah, the kids are required to be in school. Even a governor mandate isn't going to make any difference. They'd have to change state educational law.
Exactly.
So yeah, they would have to be.
And don't they have that on a federal level as well?
Well, the feds are going to require the kids to be in school so many hours per year in order for federal funding to go through to the state. Like they're going to have to send reports in that show that the kids average so many hours of school. The feds are going to divvy up federal funds based off of the number of hours the kids spend in school. So, I mean, it's going to be a funding issue also. But the state law depends on every state. But our state says if you're between a certain age and you're not homeschooled, you have to be in school every day.
Yeah.
Okay.
Now, private schools could probably set their own rules about their own. I mean, it depends if they're state accredited and the kids have a diploma that's the equivalent of a public high school and they're in the same accreditation association, then they're going to have so many hours. So I don't think there's really any way you can get out of it. I would say keep your kids home until they allow teachers to carry in school. Here's another thing. You guys have kids in school, go to the school board meetings and put some pressure on the school boards, because then they can put pressure on the administrators, who can then put pressure on the State Department of Ed and the state government, so they can get the gun-free zones reversed. States have done it. They've been able to pull it off. I'd like to see more states get it done.
Absolutely.
I mean, it's just, and again, I've had this discussion with my students, and they're like, "Well, we don't think all teachers should carry," and I said, "I don't either." So we joke about it a little bit. I'm like,
Travis 11 saying, "I don't either. I've seen some of these teachers shoot."
No, they can't even take attendance, man, much less tie their shoes. I think that if the teacher wants to, they should be allowed to under whatever provision you want, whether you just allow it if they've got a concealed carry permit, or you want to require something to make the parents feel better that the teacher's actually trained. I mean, it's just ridiculous we don't have it. And I have discussions with people. I'm like, you won't let me carry in class, but I carry everywhere else I go, and I don't have an issue. And I'm around kids. I'm around crowds of adults. Oh, I was carrying on Black Friday, and that was more population dense in Walmart than it's ever been in a high school. I had no problems with it.
And that's just it. If they trust you to carry out in public and you've gone through the state required training to carry in public, that should be enough.
Yeah.
I mean, your administration can say, don't be Rambo. Don't go out in the hallway and go actively look for the threat. You stay in that room and you protect those kids.
Or if we could train, if local law enforcement would do some pro bono training for us and allow us to train with them in the summertime or whenever, I mean, we'd be more than happy to,
I think if you ask, they'll do it for free.
I know they would. Yeah.
The city I used to work in provided it for free to anybody, any business that wanted it, and had been doing it for years. And after the Florida incident, the local news went on and was saying how they're doing this, and they were spinning it from, well, they just started doing it. It's like, no, they've been doing this for years. Where have you been? Obviously uninformed and trying to sensationalize stuff. And I know that they're not the only one out there doing it.
So
it makes their job easier when they have to enter the building after one of these incidents. If the key personnel in that building have had some sort of training with law enforcement, it's going to make law enforcement's job easier, and it's going to save more lives. Why wouldn't they do it?
Right.
Yeah.
Well, I tell you one thing, Israel allows teachers to carry, and they've only had 2 shootings in about 40 years, and those 2 were killed by teachers. There you go.
Guys, Yoder makes a really good point over on the YouTube side. He says, just because a teacher has a CHL doesn't mean they know how to handle a gun. Dude, I agree completely. Anybody can put 50 rounds within a 12-inch target and get their license. I mean, if the school wants you to do more training or train with law enforcement or require so many hours of training at a range, there's a pretty good chance the defense you're going to have to do is going to be from your classroom at close range anyway.
Yeah, I mean, we've seen Travis P11 on camera, so we know.
But from a legal standpoint, if the state trusts you to carry this thing in public, during a crazy sale on Black Friday, then why can't the state trust you to carry it in your classroom and only pull it out as a last resort if they're trying to get through the door.
Right.
So, I mean,
Yeah.
you don't have to be a super marksman. You
Yeah,
don't
you're
have to
gonna be-
be a, you know.
The bulk of your teachers are going to be in their classroom trying to keep their kids calm and keep the kids out of the way of the windows, huddled in a corner somewhere. trying
Right,
to
they're not
defend
going
the
to have
classroom.
their
That's-
firearm drawn until it's that person's coming through the door or through the side light.
And I'll tell you something, a lot of schools, when they do their training now, they're doing it where they'll do a training and then test it with a fire alarm or tell the teachers you're the first ones out of the classroom, not your kids. Make sure you got an all clear in the hallway before you walk out. I mean, so they're training the teachers better, to recognize the threat too. So I mean, the mentality is changing a little bit, but without a way to defend ourselves, we're basically sitting ducks.
Can I also interject something?
Go for it.
As a high school student, I can see that some of these things that like the bullying thing, it's not so much mental illness because as a high school student, I was a small kid in high school and I got bullied a lot. Like it's a fact of life is that there'll be kids that just don't like you for some weird reason. I never figured out why, but they're just kids nowadays. They're evil. That's the only way I can put it. I mean, they've always been like that, but every once in a while, the kid will like snap and get into a fight with the kid that's being bullied, or doing the bullying, I should say. So it's getting to an escalation. Whereas these kids probably see on the news that this kid, another person, shot up a school or something, and he's just like, it's just that rage of just being picked on that can escalate the essential violence or the visceral hatred between your classmates.
AWAG, it's like this. When I was in school, I got bullied. When the bullies got to the point where it got physical, okay, the teasing, the knocking my books out of my hand, the shooting the spit wads, I just dealt with it. But when they got physical, I busted their face. When I went to school, it wasn't the person who was in the fight that got suspended. It was the person who started the fight. Now they suspend the attacker and the defender. That's bullshit. Now, lots of people have gotten bullied over the years. It's been going on for forever.
Yeah.
And the people that react poorly to it today, there's no excuse for it. I'm sorry. You can't say, oh, well, you got what you deserve because you bullied that kid. No, wrong. Because I had access to guns when I was in high school and I got bullied and I never once even thought about going to get them and go into that school and use them.
But that's also.
But I will tell you this though: when I was physically attacked, when I had punches thrown at me, I was able to defend myself, and I never got suspended for defending myself. Now, my kids, if they get attacked in the hallway, they know they're getting suspended, but they still fight back because I tell them to. And I've tried. We had an incident recently, and I tried to stand up to that school system, and it wasn't worth the time and money to get a lawyer for something that probably would just drag on and drag on and drag on and wouldn't get anywhere. And in the meantime, my kid's still out of school for 10 days for simply defending themselves. I think these school systems need to look at the whole attacker-defender thing, and they need to go ahead and they need to punish the attacker and leave the defender alone. That will take some of it away. The rest of it is people, parents, the school system, society needs to teach our kids to quit being such a bunch of sissies. But these school shootings, they've been going on for a long time. It's just they're getting more attention now. If you go into Wikipedia and you type in American school shootings, you will get a list going all the way back to the 18th century, the 1700s or something, on school shootings or school violence, either being perpetrated by the students, some stranger entering the school. And it's not always a shooting either. But the stuff that's happened recently, everybody's pointing a finger at bullying. Well, I mean, it's been going on forever. It's not going to stop. You need to learn to live with it. You need to teach your kids how to live with it. Schools need to punish the aggressors, punish the bullies, and not punish the defenders. So I don't know when that's going to change or if that's going to change, but that's something that's going to be helpful.
Absolutely. All right, guys. I think we've talked about everything and solved the world's problems tonight. So, with that, I'm going to run through the room. Everybody just plug whatever it is you have to plug, and we'll wrap this up. So, AWAG, got anything you want to plug?
Other than support your local law enforcement when you can. Thanks for the invite. And adopt an animal because they need love too.
Okay. Gary.
I want to put in a good word for guntube.org, a wonderful place. Make sure and check it out. Also, gunchannels.com. And last but not least, gizzardgary.com. Thank you for the invite, sir.
All right. Rick.
Thank you for the invite. Hit or miss, 9 o'clock Tuesday nights. And Rick's Life as I See It on Wednesday at 7 p.m. and on Saturdays at 3 p.m. Eastern Time.
All right. Roll call.
Thanks for having me. You can find me on YouTube, Roll Call 219, and I have a show on Sunday nights, 11-ish, 12-ish, whatever I feel like bothering Night Strike with. Rants and Raves. Check it out.
All right. Sarge, we don't get you on here often, but go ahead and make a plug.
Hey, I appreciate the invite, and I appreciate it when you jump in on my live stream. Check us out. I filmed a new video today. I'm going to try to get out in the morning. We're usually on Thursday nights at 8, sometimes Saturday nights at 11, and I'm going to be on, I just found out tonight, I'm going to be on Hank Strange's show Friday, June 1st at 7 o'clock, if anybody's watching that. Hopefully, it'll go well. But I appreciate the invite.
All right, awesome. Anytime. Squib.
I weasel in on shows all the time, so you'll hear me rant or something.
That's it?
Yeah, I guess.
Aren't you like the de facto co-host of Locked and Loaded with HVS now?
Yeah, HVS is stateside right now, but Rupan was able to open up the show last night, and we gave it a shot. It did okay, but yeah, Monday nights. With the time, 9, 10, 11, somewhere in there.
All right, good. And last but not least, Travis P. What's going on?
Not much, man. Just make sure you check out, obviously, gunchannels.com. Make sure you get. And as for my channel, Caliber Corner, Saturday mornings, 8 a.m. Central Time. It's on gunchannels.com, as well as YouTube. And with the holiday weekend, I'm not planning on hosting an episode, just to let you know, but we got 44 action-packed prior episodes you can listen to if you want to. With the holiday weekend coming up, I got a lot of big projects I'm working on and family coming out. So if anybody wants to help me cut down a couple 100-foot trees, come and join me. I'll give you some free beer and a place to sleep, and we'll go from there. So that's it, bro.
That's almost worth,
See you Saturday, Travis.
All the firewood you want to haul home, my friend. All the firewood. I'm going to play with the chainsaw, and I'm going to review it.
Oh, watch out, a Travis P11 review.
Might do with 9 fingers, but it's going to happen. So, no.
All right.
I'm careful.
Well, guys, if you want any of the awesome Night Strike stickers that I've got, go to nightstrike.com. That's NIGHTSTRYKE.com. Or become a patron on Patreon, and you can get an awesome sticker from Night Strike. Check out guntube.org. It's the alternative that I'm working on other than YouTube, because YouTube doesn't want gun stuff on it anymore, apparently. Other than that, hit or miss Tuesday nights at 9 o'clock, Friday Night Strike at 8, and we will see you later. So thank you all for listening. This was Hit or Miss.
Hi, Felicia.
Adios, Felicia.
Shall not be infringed.
Yo.